I'm showing this video of my 2016 Sierra. It won't start, it cranks and doesn't start, and it shows code P023F, and as near as I can tell, that indicates that I need a new fuel pump. It's only got 38,000 miles on it, but I do have a habit of running the tank dry and then filling it up, and I did it on Monday, and this is Friday. So what I've done, I normally keep a cap on the back of the truck, and I have a box that goes in the truck. You can see the box here that lays in the truck. So what I've done is I've cut out an access hatch inside the bed of the truck that will allow me to access easily anytime I need to change that fuel pump in the future. So this is a 2016. See, the back of the hatch is 4 1/8 from the wall. The front of it is 17 5/8. The flat part of the sidewall, I'm about 16 1/2 by 30 1/2. So I cut the groove in the low point. I'm going to put a piece of metal under it, and I'll be able to drop it onto the piece of metal. But where I cut it is right on the braces. So the front and the back drop on the braces. You could actually put a screw in the brace if you wanted to. But I'm going to add a piece of metal on the side here. I'm going to add a piece of metal here. But as you can see, that gives you complete access to the fuel pump to be able to change it without having any trouble whatsoever. Okay, now here's our access hatch. I cut the access hatch using my grinder with a 1/8" cutting wheel, cut through with no problem. My spray material on the bed, it must be a rhino liner or something, is very smelly when it grinds out. Put up some pretty nasty fumes, so you got to make sure you have enough ventilation. But this will not bother me at all, this cut in the floor, because my box is going to cover it all the time. The only time I ever take the box out is when I go on vacation and I leave the cap on. The cap never comes off the truck. Even if I took the cap off, you could put a piece of plywood over the floor, and that would cover that hole once it's screwed back in place. Okay, I want to continue with the finishing up of my fuel pump. If you can see right there, the fuel pump has been changed. With this hatch in the bed, it took me about a half hour to change the fuel pump. I poured water over the top of it to clean it off real good, sucked it all dry, blew it all dry, and then I did buy a ring tool from Rock Auto. This fits on the rings, a 1/2" breaker bar on the top, and that helps you to get that ring out. Putting the ring back on, I could not get it to tighten up with that, so I had to tap one slot, and then it popped into where it belonged. Now to finish this up, you see that I've added along the edge of this board, I've added along the cut line, I took a 1" piece of galvanized sheet metal and I prop riveted it to this side and then to the other side. You can get these pieces of sheet metal, you can get cleats at Home Depot that would work just fine. Now I'm going to paint the edges so that nothing is exposed of raw metal. And then I'm going to drop in that piece of floor that I cut out. That will be the low spot. Things will be able to slide over top of them. And it should be a hatch in there. Literally, you can change your fuel pump in a half hour. There's the old fuel pump. I have started the truck. It was the fuel pump. My symptoms were just cranking and no fire. I was getting code P023F. And I tried to see if I had fuel pressure, and they don't have a fuel pressure testing unit on this truck. This is a 2016, so it's a pretty new one. I bought the new pump at Rock Auto. It cost me $187 plus shipping, so all told I've got about $235 in the whole process of changing this fuel pump. Like I say, the truck is already started. It runs good, so that was my problem. If you have one that's open to the elements, you could tape the edges of this and put a piece of plywood over it, and you'd never know that hatch was there. But it's by far the easiest way to change that fuel tank. Okay, this is the hatch put back in again. You can see that I've painted the edges of it so it won't rust. I've put a sheet metal screw here, a sheet metal screw up here, one here, one here, one here, one over there. So 6 screws. Don't go overboard, because if those screws rust and you can't get them out again, then you just have to cut a few of them and you'll get that hatch back out. And that hatch will allow you to change your fuel pump in about a half an hour. Alright, just finishing up with the truck. This is the old pump, and I can see it's spring loaded, so it pushes directly against the bottom of the tank. So if you run your gas below this level, then the fuel pump here does not have anything to cool it, so it can get it will overheat and burn out, and that, I think, is what happened. I couldn't figure out why it went bad on a truck with only 30,000 miles, but that's why. So okay, let's test the truck now. $38,258 miles on the truck, and the fuel pump went out, probably because I ran it dry.